So here's how you use the actual DIRTS form. I have an excerpt from The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas here, and I have the DIRTS handout here. So this is the opening paragraph of The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. And I want to establish the tone, the speaker's attitude towards the subject, and then I want to take a look at how the language that Le Guin is using is building that tone. So the subject here is the Festival of Summer and the people of Omelas. So I'm going to type that in here just so I can remember that that's what that is. So my subject is the people of Omelas and the Festival of Summer. And her tone here really appears to be very carefree, very admiring. And I think I'm going to go with admiring because it's more that the mood is carefree. So the tone appears to be admiring. And I want to take a look at the language. So I'm going to look at what words I notice in the text, what mental pictures are created within the text, the repetition, if there is any, and then symbols, which are people or objects that the speaker is reacting to. So let's just take a quick look. With a clamor of bells that set the swallows soaring. All right, so the Festival of Summer came to the city of Omelas, bright towered by the sea. So I've got a sound image here. And I have an image of the city as being bright towered by the sea. The rigging of the boats in harbor sparkled with flags, so that's a really bright word as well. In the streets between houses with red roofs and painted walls, between old moss-grown gardens and under avenues of trees, past great parks. So look at this image. She's really painting a picture here of the streets of Omelas and the people who were there. So as we get down here, we've got more imagery, shimmering of gong and tambourine, and the people are dancing. So that is appealing to the senses. Remember that when we were reading and we got to the green fields and everybody goes, wait, why are the children naked? So when we react to an object, that is probably going to be important. I want to highlight that as well. And the horses don't wear any gear. They have a halter without a bit. And that's a really specific detail. I want to pay attention to that as well. So she's also describing the horses, and their manes are braided with streamers of silver and gold and green. Highlighting that because that's important. So I want to stop here and just kind of use that to give you an idea of how we do the DIRTS. So I'm going to begin by, at this point, just typing in the words that I notice in the text. And so I notice that it is bright towered, and that's on page 1. Make sure you put your page number. That is going to be important. It sparkled. That is also on page 1. Let's see. You have the word merry, describing the women. And you have shimmering music. That is on page 2. All right, so again, I'm going to put naked there because, hey, we made a big deal out of the children being naked. And you have, again, this concept of bright air. That is on page 2. And we have streamers of silver, gold, and green. That is on page 2. So when I get to the imagery, I have this sound image that I can put there. These are things that really just allow me to see what Le Guin is describing. The old people are in long, stiff robes. I think that's important. And I'm noticing that there is a contrast with the children in their image. So I'm going to add that there as well, because anytime there's a difference, I'm like, hey, that might be important. So we're going to do number 2 there. Notice when we are looking up here, you've got the word bright that gets repeated twice. As I'm reading, the only other thing that I saw that was repeated was this concept of dancing. Let's see. If I go here then, symbols, things that are objects that either I'm responding to or the other characters are responding to. So I'm going to do nakedness and clothing. I am also going to take a look at these colors because I know that silver, gold, and green, hey, those are symbols. Those are important. So at this point, I have really filled out the first column. Okay, so I'm citing my examples from the text, and I have my page numbers there, and I have this idea again that her tone appears to be admiring. So what I have to do at this point is the so what column. Why is this important to the meaning of the text? So I'm not working at this point with the whole story. I'm working with this one section. So this diction appears to be important because this is showing how bright and exciting and free Omelas seems to be. This selection of words shows how free, exciting, and happy the people of Omelas are as the story opens. Because I've read the whole story, I can go ahead and add then that this adds later to the contrast later when we, not we because we're doing formal language, when the reader sees that the happiness of Omelas is fake and on the surface. All right, so I have those images, but I want to show you something. Look at the old people. Look at the word that is used. Their robes are stiff. They do not have the same freedom as the children do. So the old people and the children are clothed differently. The old people wear stiff robes. I want to cite that. And this is most likely linked to their knowledge of the child in the basement. The children are still free because they do not yet know what is the price of their happiness. Notice that even though I am working with just one section of the text, that I'm using my knowledge of the whole text as I fill out the so what column. So I would talk here about the repetition, the concept of bright, the concept of dancing, the repetition of these words highlight the celebration and happiness that comes with the festival of summer. this is important because the people of Omelas choose this happiness over doing the right thing. All right, so now I'm into the symbols. All right, so here's the deal. The children and the horses are naked because they're still free. Remember that the children, these kids are young. They don't know about the child in the basement. The old people, their clothing is because they do know. So I'm back at this idea about there being a difference between the old people and the children. Another thing that I would talk about here is I would talk about my color symbology of silver, gold, and green, and how those are related to prosperity. After I had explained that in the symbol column, then I would come here and I would overall talk about the author's tone, the speaker's tone, and I would link that back to theme. So, yeah, at the beginning of the story, Le Guin's tone is admiring about the people of Omelas at the beginning of the story. She seems to approve of their happiness. However, this tone will shift as the reader reaches section 4, where the child is revealed. This tone sets up a sense of, surprise as the reader goes deeper into the world of Omelas. This admiration is revealed to be false, much as the happiness of the people of Omelas is not real. All right, so there you have it. That is how we complete our DIRTS form. In the sake of time, I did not fill in the symbol column here, but if you'll notice then, as I read this way, it creates a paragraph that talks about how the language creates meaning in the text. So now for task 1, I want you to use a section of The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas or the lottery, and I want you to practice the DIRTS handout as well.